What's up, beautiful people, and welcome back to another comic book review video where I say words and you, the beautiful people, listen. It is I, your crazy Nicolas Cage, your steward of Gondor, your genius, billionaire playboy, basic YouTuber philanthropist, SuperCliff. And would you kindly hit that like and subscribe button for every little bit helps in this majestic YouTube world. And today, guys, we are picking back up with DC's Infinite Frontier with Action Comics, issue 1032, written by Philip Kennedy Johnson, with the art drawn by Daniel Sampere, with the colors by Adriano Lucas. And away we go, as we pick up in the Fortress of Solitude. And coming around the corner, we can hear both Lois and Supergirl talking about the possible origins of the Kryptonian refugees. Lois mentions that during her research, she came across a passage within Kandor's library mentioning a fringe Kryptonian science colony called the Philosians. I totally mispronounced that. And apparently, they were shunned by Krypton society. And so they left the planet thousands of years prior to Krypton's destruction. And ever since their departure, no one's ever seen or heard from the colony since. Now Lois, being the ace reporter of the Daily Planet that she is, finds this situation to be way too convenient. With Clark having discovered a group of Kryptonians, whom speak in an ancient Kryptonian dead language, a language that only a Kryptonian would have known, and with the refugees praying to a Kryptonian scientist of old, all the signs point to these refugees being Philosians. However, this train of thought will have to wait because as they turn around the corner, they see the broken body of Kelex, along with Superman, who's attempting to calm down one of the refugees, assuring her that there's nothing to be scared of. Clark then begins to question the girl, wanting to know her name and along with wanting to know as to why it is that she bears the House of L symbol on her skin. And this is where we see a lone tear trailing down the side of the girl's face, whilst at the same time are given a few panels depicting flashbacks of her past. Her playing with a Superman action figure, and the day when she was branded by Mongol, and thus, like an overflowing dam of emotion, the girl tells Superman that her name was Thao La, and she also asks Superman where he was. Where were you? For there were thousands of us, and we waited and waited for you to show up. When the Mongol who was took my parents and my brother, I held faith that one day you would come. And when the Mongol who is branded me for protecting your symbol, I still believed. But you never came, Superman. You weren't there when we need you the most. Now, upon Superman horrified by the girl's response, he tries to take off her chains again. But suddenly the girl zaps Superman, zaps him using her optic blast, blue heat vision. Now, though Superman is able to take it like a champ, the girl immediately feels terrible. Because according to Thao La, she claims that if they take off her chains, then he'll know. Mongol will know. And so as a means to comfort her, Lois gives the girl a hug, telling her that she doesn't need to remove her chains and that she can do so whenever she feels comfortable. Afterwards, we pick up with the Atlanteans, and we see Volku and a couple of Atlantean scientists studying the artifact, the stone that they found in the Warworld ship in the previous issue. Now, these mineralogists have named the stone Genesis, and they have determined that the fragment is older than the tests can determine, basically older than Atlantis, and that the energy, it obtains the power to that of a star, along with visions of a sleeping god. And that's when Volku's like, dude, are you okay? But sadly, it doesn't seem like that's going to be the case. Because as Volku is trying to understand his guy, a large rumble starts to go off beneath the ocean floor. And the Atlantean, he continues to talk, almost like he's possessed, and he starts spewing things, saying that the beasts must hear too, and that his dreams are dreams that give strength as well as visions, for he has been sleeping for far too long. Then, all of a sudden, this Atlantean begins to change, and the strange glyphs that were on the artifact start to appear on his skin, and this poor dude is changing into something cosmic, something monstrous. Back at the fortress, while Kara is fixing Kelex, Superman is really kicking himself, for he feels really bad that he tried to take off the girl's chains, not realizing on what that would do to her psychologically. Lois then tells Clark that the girl, the only thing that she's ever known throughout her entire life is violence and abuse, and so the concept of kindness is extremely foreign to her. Yet, Lois assures him with enough time, the girl will come around. But until then, since Lois was able to comfort her and emotionally connect with her, Lois will stay with Thao La and keep an eye on her for the time being. Superman also mentions that there is something else that's bothering him, and it's something that Thao La said that he picked up on. when she mentioned the Mongol who was and the Mongol who is. It's making Clark suspect that Mongol is dead and that someone else, someone far worse, who can install further fear and devotion to the Warzoons, is in charge. Now John, he views this to be some sort of trap, yet, despite the possibility that this could very well be the part of something of an elaborate scheme, the fact of the matter is that on Warworld, they've enslaved Kryptonians, and so it doesn't matter if it is a trap, for people need help. And Superman, he's willing to do whatever it takes to save those in need. Afterwards, we pick up in Gotham City, and while Batman is in the process of taking out a criminal, Superman is flying beside him, trying to have a conversation, telling Batman that the Justice League is needed on Warworld because he suspects that Mongol has been overthrown and that the colony of ancient Kryptonians are currently enslaved. Now Batman, because he's effing Batman, he already knows this, and so he tells Clark that this is definitely a trap. But also Batman brings up something very important, because if this new Mongol was able to subjugate Kryptonians, that would mean that these Kryptonians don't possess the exact same powers as Superman. And this makes sense because remember, back when Theola shot Superman, she was terrified, but she was also confused that she was able to do heat vision in the first place. And that's obviously due to Earth's yellow sun. Therefore, if that's the case, Mongol must have some sort of dampener which is preventing the Kryptonians from obtaining all of Superman's powers. Suddenly, Batman gets an alert, and it's from Aquaman, who's hailing the Justice League down in Florida. And so with that, Superman heads out. Now, down in the eastern coast of Florida, we pick up with these kaiju monsters who are making way towards the nearest city with the intent of destroying it. Now, once Superman arrives, he is met with Aquaman and his fellow Atlanteans who are trying their damnedest to take out the monsters, but nothing is working. Their hides are way too strong. And Arthur, his ability to talk to sea life isn't working. There's just no way of communicating with these monsters. And so seeing how this fight isn't going to be one on the outside, Superman makes his way through one of the monster's mouths and flies through its stomach, hoping to take it out from the inside. Also, Superman using his heat vision as a flashlight is great. Eventually, Superman comes across a cosmic, almost Gears of War-like Locust Fortress. And upon reaching the structure, a voice calls out to him, letting him know that this voice has been waiting for his arrival. Now, this voice, it calls itself the Metropolis, a place that Superman will soon be. Superman then notices the markings on the structure, markings that he recognizes. The voice then tells Superman that these markings tell a story of the one who is gone, but that the one who is gone must return. Now, keep in mind, folks, because as Superman is hearing all this, he has no idea as to what this thing is talking about. He can't understand it. It's too vague for him to comprehend. Way too cryptic. Eventually, Superman realizes that this place isn't real, for something is projecting these images into his mind. Therefore, Superman uses his freeze breath, freezing up the monster from the inside, whilst also getting rid of the illusion in the process. And as he pan away onto the outside, the kaiju that Superman is inside is freezing up, and the monster is shown to be slowing down in its movements, eventually becoming encapsulated within ice, halting its aggression. Afterwards, once Aquaman and the Atlanteans are able to drive back smaller creatures into the ocean, Superman lets Arthur know that the fragment is the thing that's responsible for what's happened here. Also, Superman suspects that the fragment doesn't just hold source energy, but it also holds something else, something far worse. Next, our heroes are soon met with the arrival of Steve Trevor. Now, we're told by Steve that he's here on behalf of the US government to collect intelligence on the Warworld invasion. Now, Steve, he lets both Superman and Aquaman know that he's aware of the fragment's existence. And since the fragment was discovered technically on US soil, Atlantis will thereby have to turn over the fragment to Steve, effective immediately, in order to avoid further escalation. Now, it's here where we are reminded, at least for those who have not read Kelly Sue DeConnick's Aquaman, because Arthur, he's no longer Atlantis' king, and so he doesn't speak for Atlantis. However, Aquaman does mention to Steve that whatever Aquaman is feeling with regards to who the fragment belongs to, Arthur is confident that many of his people will base their feelings on the same concept, that the fragment belongs to Atlantis, and if any attempt by any nation seeks to claim it, it will be treated as an act of war. And that, folks, was Action Comics, issue 1032. And boy, oh boy, if you were to tell me back in March that Philip Kennedy Johnson was going to bring Cult of Cthulhu vibes to his Action Comics, then I would have called you a liar. But holy crap, am I getting Cult of Cthulhu vibes here? And I'm absolutely loving it. I love Lovecraftian horror, and so seeing that mixing into Superman is something that's right up my alley. But it also seems fresh, and it's something that I've yet to see in past Superman books. And so Philip Kennedy Johnson can keep this vibe going, but I'm so down for whatever's to come. Also, when it comes to the issue's plot, I really enjoy how Johnson is prepping up this new Mongol as someone far, far worse than the Mongol that we're already accustomed to. Like someone who's 10 times worse than Mongol the Elder. And so I'm interested in seeing how this fragment is connected to his plan and to the mysterious individual who met with Mongol back in the arc's beginning. Oh, and P.S., that person was definitely Cersei. Daniel Sampere's art continues to be epic for a book that's called Action Comics. Definitely fits the category. And of course, Adriano Lucas, one of the best colorists of late, continues to nail the book's colors. And I'm especially fond of the way Lucas is able to highlight certain aspects whenever panels are depicted under the ocean or just any aspect of water in general. There's this sort of epic fantasy vibe to the water and I love it so much, so keep that up. Action Comics issue 1032 was another great issue that took the story in a way that I was not expecting, but hot damn on a stick. Give me more cosmic horror Superman, please. Action Comics issue number 1032 gets an 8.5 out of 10.